Good morning. The title of today's video is Don't Invest in or Visit Puerto Rico. And before we can proceed, let's hit it. Hit it.
On today's Cabrona of the Day, we have Jennifer Gonzalez Colon. Now, if you don't know who this wildebeest is in the picture, she's Puerto Rico's governor, and she just signed an executive order to allow investors to build in El Yunque, the only tropical national forest. Now, Puerto Ricans have started protesting, but these investors already started building. And it's illegal to build there. It is protected land. But this cabrona right here will do anything to line her fat pockets like she lines her fat face. So now we have to get the message out, and I hope that more people pick this up and start making a bigger deal because it is a big deal. This lady will sell the island to the highest bidder. She doesn't care about the people. She doesn't care about the island. She only cares about making her pockets bigger. Again, like her big ass face. So let's wish this cabrona malparia.
Well, you saw that, you heard that. And so first of all, I don't even know if this person, I don't want to assume the sex of the person. I don't know if I did earlier, but these are the type of people that would get offended if you assume their sex, right? So this person, I don't even know if the person is Puerto Rican, like a real Puerto Rican, like myself. Like I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, right? But we have two types of Boricuas in quotation marks, as in there is no such thing as a Boricua. That's what I mean by this, right? There are those who are born in Puerto Rico, like myself, and have this this mindset that they are better at everything than everyone else, but they just can't prove it to you right now, right? They have that mindset, and because of that mindset, they think that the largest, most powerful nation, both economically and actually politically and militarily, the U.S., just because Puerto Rico is the greatest thing ever, and obviously so are Boricuas in quotations, right? Because Boricuas are so great, the U.S. decides to give us Puerto Ricans and Boricuas in quotation their citizenship, which is in reality our citizenship, their dollar, again our dollar, their defense, again our defense, all those things the US gives to us because Boricuas in quotation are the best thing ever, right? So we have Boricuas in quotations that are born in Puerto Rico, and then we have exponential Boricuas, right? And these exponential Boricuas in quotation are people that are not really Puerto Rican, because in order to be a Puerto Rican, you have to be born in Puerto Rico. Like although I am a U.S. citizen, I cannot say I'm a Floridian because I wasn't born in Florida, right? And a Floridian couldn't say that they are Puerto Rican because they weren't born in Puerto Rico. To name yourself something, you have to be born there. You could have parents that were born there, but you were not born there, right? And so we have these people that were born in different states, right? And they are even prouder to be that which does not exist. And by that I mean, again, Boricua in quotation. They are even prouder than those Boricuas in quotations that were actually born in Puerto Rico, right? So I don't know what she is. She could be either an exponential Boricua or a regular Puerto Rican Boricua in quotation, right? I don't know, right? But the point being is that, and the point of this video, I have to clarify that because You have to understand the mindset of the Boricua in quotation, and the further I speak, the more you will understand. So, as you heard, she doesn't want investors to buy land in Puerto Rico to develop it. Usually, these investments are made for tourist things, and also, for the people to have houses there, or even jobs, right? These are the types of investments that are made by people who are from other states of the nation, right? Puerto Rico is not a state, Puerto Rico is a territory, but from state of the nation, right? Or they could even be from other territories of the nation, right? They will invest in Puerto Rico. Or they could be from wherever in the world, right? But the point of an investment is to obviously make money, right? And so one thing I can say is that when I used to live in Guam, I lived there for 2 years. And although 2 years is not really that long of a time period, but I never saw any group, not even one person, with a sign being against, developing Guam. In Guam, there's a lot of tourism, usually from Japan, South Korea, places in Asia. It's always packed full of tourists. And so they have a lot of investment done in Guam for them, for tourists, because tourists bring new money to Guam, right? It's not recycled money, it's brand new money that's being inserted into the Guam economy. And this is obviously coming from the tourists and the investors, right? So obviously they welcome them. In Guam, there's also housing for the locals, the U.S. citizens that live there, and the legal residents that live there. And there's also a lot of military representation. There's different bases. And everyone lives happily ever after. But in Puerto Rico, on the other hand, I guess this is part, and as I said, you will understand the mindset of the Boricua in quotation, because Tainos, they were the natives of Puerto Rico, right? And they were not known for anything. They didn't build anything. The most they built were huts for them to sleep in, and that's pretty much it. So while we had tribes at the same time centuries ago, I don't know how many, maybe even a millennia or however long, they were building cities, they were building pyramids, both in Mexico and Peru. The natives of Puerto Rico, the Taino, they didn't build anything. They were lazy. They were so lazy that Spaniards, when they conquered Puerto Rico, they actually came to the conclusion that they had to bring West Africans to work. And this is for those who seem to think that somehow, slavery is an American thing. Well, now you know that in Puerto Rico, Spaniards brought Africans, and they were actually good workers, unlike the Taino. They were weak, they were lame. That's how they were, right? And so I think because Boricuas in quotations are the descendants, even if they have an afro, right? Even if they have an afro, if they are very dark skinned, unlike me, right? I don't even look like a Taino. A Taino would look like your average Native American, right? I don't even look like a Native American. I know I look white, but believe me, I'm Puerto Rican, right? I don't have an afro, but a lot of Puerto Ricans, even if they have an afro and if they're dark skinned, they think they are Tainos, right? And so I think because they want to represent what they say they used to be, you know, they actually want Puerto Rico to have nothing. So while in in the ancient times, Mexicans, what came to be Mexicans and what came to be Peruvians were building magnificent structures that withstood the test of time. Tainos didn't build anything, right? And while in Guam we have all this progress and nobody's complaining about it, in Puerto Rico, these Boricuas in quotation, uh, they don't want your investment, because I think that in reality, the way that they see your investment is as some kind of a punishment. Because usually, as I said earlier, investments are to make money, right? But with making money comes the opportunity for new jobs to be established, right? Well, they don't want that. They don't want to work because Tainos didn't work, right? So they don't welcome your investment because they don't want to work and they want to keep Puerto Rico empty, not developed. If they could turn every building that is currently built in Puerto Rico down, which, by the way, most of it has been built either by foreign investment or national investment, and by national I mean from some corporation in the US, right? Not necessarily from the government, right? Most buildings are built by private investors. That's what I'm trying to say. But they still obviously complain about it, right? Because they don't like it. And most of the money that is used to build infrastructure, as in roads and whatnot, in Puerto Rico, is done by the federal government, and they don't like that either, right? So because they don't like it, they don't want it, they would probably tear everything down and have Puerto Rico go back to how it once was, back in the Taino days, right? And the reason why they, by the way, so you understand, the reason why they call themselves Boricua in quotation is because Tainos used to call Puerto Rico Boriquen, right? But in Puerto Rico, no one that has been born after Spain colonized Puerto Rico has been born a Boricua. Everyone that's born after that, all the way till now, is a Puerto Rican, right? And then once the U.S. gave us birthright citizenship, then we became Puerto Ricans who are U.S. citizens. We are American, right? Just like everyone else in the U.S., right? But that's why they call themselves Boricuas, just so you know, right? And so they would probably tore everything down and again have Puerto Rico go back to the way that it was when it was Boriquen. And so they would only have huts and silly little things like those. And that is why I said, don't invest in Puerto Rico, and don't be a tourist in Puerto Rico either, because they don't like that either. They don't want that new money to be put into Puerto Rico. They don't like it. They see you as an invader, right? So that's my best recommendation. Don't do that. And anyways, if I have informed you and made you think with this video, I would hope that you share it. Thank you for listening, and until my next video.